Have you ever found out the person you love most is hiding a secret that could shatter your world? My name is Nora Bennett, 36 years old, living in Portland, Oregon. I thought I had the perfect marriage, Ethan. My husband was the kind of man who could light up a room with just a smile. 12 years together, 7 married. We built a life I believed was unbreakable, but then a single text message and a mysterious purchase turned everything upside down. It led me to our summer house in Cannon Beach, where I uncovered a truth I never saw coming alongside a stranger who shared my pain. This isn't just a story of betrayal. It's about reclaiming who you are. Want to know how far I went to face the lies? Stick around, you won't believe what happened next. I'm Nora Bennett, a freelance journalist who spends my days writing about hidden gems for travel magazines. My job takes me to breathtaking places, coastal towns, mountain retreats, but my heart has always belonged to our little home in Portland, where Ethan and I crafted our life together. Ethan Bennett, 38, is a marketing director for a tech startup. Charming, sharp, the kind of guy who makes you feel like you're the only one in the room. We met in college, fell in love over late-night campfire talks and road trips along the Oregon coast. Those early days would sketch out dreams on napkins: a family, a dog, a summer house where we'd escape the world. I thought nothing could break us. Our summer house in Cannon Beach became the heart of those dreams. 2 years after we married, we bought a weathered cottage on a cliff overlooking the Pacific. It wasn't just a house. It was our creation. We spent months designing it together, picking out the oak floorboards, arguing over paint colors, laughing as we sketched the open kitchen on graph paper. I can still see us lying on that floor, the wood cool against our backs, staring at the ceiling beams as we planned a future filled with kids' laughter and lazy summers. That house held our first dance as husband and wife, our 5th anniversary barbecue, the night we stayed up naming stars through the skylight. Every corner was a memory, every plank a promise. But lately, Ethan changed. His warm hazel eyes, once so full of love, started glancing past me like I was a piece of furniture he'd stopped noticing. He began taking last-minute business trips, claiming client emergencies in Seattle or San Francisco. He'd bring his phone into the bathroom, something he never used to do. His laptop had a new password, I told myself. Don't be paranoid, Nora. Every marriage hits a rough patch, but deep down, a knot tightened in my chest. Something was wrong, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. I started noticing small things, receipts for coffee shops in Salem, 50 miles away. When Ethan said he was in Portland, a faint whiff of perfumed jasmine, not mine, on his jacket, and his excuses grew flimsier. Late meeting, he'd say, slipping into bed without a kiss. I wanted to scream. What's happening to us? But I held back, afraid of the answer. Our summer house, once our sanctuary, hadn't seen us in over a year. Ethan always had a reason to skip our weekend getaways. Too busy, he'd mutter, eyes glued to his phone. I missed the man who'd trace constellations with me. I missed us. Portland felt colder without him, even in our cozy craftsman home with its creaky floors and bay windows. I'd sit at my desk, writing about charming seaside inns, while the silence of our house pressed against me. Ethan's absence wasn't just physical, it was emotional. I kept replaying our memories in that summer house, wondering when they'd stopped mattering to him. Had I missed something? Was I too focused on deadlines, too blind to see the cracks forming? I didn't know, but I was about to find out. One morning, as I brewed coffee in our kitchen, the truth began to unravel. Ethan's phone lit up on the counter, and I saw it a text from someone named Sophia Reed. My heart stopped. The message was short but searing. Can't wait for the weekend summer house. Wine. And I'm all yours. I stood frozen, the coffee pot trembling in my hand, as the world I'd built with Ethan started to crumble. Who was Sophia? Why was she texting about our summer house? the place we'd poured our hearts into. I didn't know yet, but I was determined to find out that morning. As the coffee pot trembled in my hand, my world tilted. The text on Ethan's phone burned into my mind. Can't wait for the weekend summer house. Wine. And I'm all yours. From someone named Sophia Reed. I stood frozen in our Portland kitchen. The hum of the fridge suddenly deafening. My heart pounded not just from shock, but from a sickening confirmation. All those late nights, those vague excuses, the way Ethan's eyes slid past me like I was invisible. It wasn't my imagination. Someone else was stepping into our summer house, our sanctuary, the place we'd built with sweat and dreams. Who was Sophia, and why was she texting about my house, the one Ethan and I designed? Where we danced under the stars for our 5th anniversary, I didn't confront him. Not yet. Ethan was still in the shower, humming like it was just another day. I set the coffee pot down, my hands steady now, a strange calm settling over me. I wasn't going to scream or cry. I was going to find out everything as the water shut off. I slipped his phone back onto the counter, the screen dark again. I needed proof. Something he couldn't twist or deny, but before I could dig deeper, something else caught my eye. Our shared laptop, left open on the dining table, pinged with a new email. I glanced at the subject line, "Thank you for your purchase." Curiosity pulled me in. It was from a boutique in Salem, a place I'd never heard of. The email read, "Dear Ethan, thank you for buying a few truly special items. Your order of silk scarves and artisanal candles will be delivered to your Cannon Beach address tomorrow." My stomach churned. Cannon Beach, our summer house. Silk scarves, candles. I hadn't ordered anything, and Ethan hadn't mentioned a gift. These weren't for me, they were for her. This, Sophia, for their secret weekend in our house. The betrayal stung like a slap, but it also lit a fire in me. I wasn't just hurt, I was furious, and I was going to make sure they couldn't hide. I kept my cool as Ethan emerged. Towel around his waist, flashing that easy smile. "Morning, babe," he said, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "I've got that Seattle conference this weekend. Back late Sunday." Another lie, I nodded, my voice flat. "Don't forget your jacket, it's chilly up there." He didn't even blink. I watched him leave for work, the door clicking shut, and then I sprang into action that night. After Ethan downed his usual 2 glasses of Pinot and passed out, I crept to his side of the bed. His phone was on the nightstand, he'd gotten careless. I lifted his hand, gently pressing his thumb to the sensor. The screen unlocked with a soft click. My pulse raced as I scrolled through his texts with Sophia. Every message was a knife. "Can't wait to see you in that silk," he'd written. "Candles will set the mood," she replied. They were planning a whole romantic getaway in the house where we'd planned our future. I didn't just read, I acted. I snapped screenshots of every damning word. My fingers trembling with each tap, I emailed the photos to myself, then buried them in a hidden folder on my phone. No way was I letting Ethan talk his way out of this, but Sophia's name nagged at me. Who was she? I opened my laptop, heart hammering, and typed Sophia Reed, Salem, into Google. It didn't take long, a LinkedIn profile popped up. Sophia Reed, 39 financial consultant, based in Salem. Her photo showed a polished woman, sharp-eyed, confident. But the real shock, she was married. Her profile mentioned a husband, Daniel Reed, 42, a software engineer. I clicked his profile, a tall guy with a tired but kind smile, like someone who'd been carrying too much for too long. My mind raced. Did Daniel know? Was he in the dark like me? I kept digging. In one of Ethan's older texts, Sophia had written, "Daniel's in San Francisco all week, the house is ours." So Daniel was clueless. Just like me, I sat back, staring at the screen, a plan forming. If Sophia was betraying her husband, maybe he deserved to know, and maybe he could help me expose them both. But I had to be smart. I needed more proof. Something Ethan couldn't dodge. The next morning, I called Ethan's assistant, Lisa, at his startup. I'd met her a few times, chatty, sweet, not the type to suspect anything. "Hey, Lisa," I said, forcing a smile into my voice. "I'm planning a surprise for Ethan's Seattle trip. Can you confirm the conference dates?" She paused, then laughed. "Conference, Nora. There's nothing in Seattle this weekend. Ethan took personal days, said he needed a break. My blood ran cold, but I kept my tone light. Oh, must have mixed it up. Thanks." I'd recorded the call on my phone, thank God for that app. Lisa's words were gold proof Ethan was lying through his teeth by noon. I was ready. I opened my laptop, hands shaking, and typed a message to Daniel Reed. "Hi, Daniel. I'm Nora Bennett. I believe my husband, Ethan Bennett, and your wife, Sophia Reed, are having an affair. I have evidence texts, receipts, even a recording, if you're open to talking. Here's my number, 503-555-9876. I hit send, my heart in my throat. This was it. No turning back. I didn't know Daniel, didn't know how he'd react, but I knew one thing: I wasn't facing this alone. The summer house, our summer house, was about to become the stage for a reckoning they'd never see coming. The moment I hit send on that message to Daniel Reed, my heart felt like it was clawing its way out of my chest. I'd just invited a stranger, a man I'd only seen on a LinkedIn profile, into the wreckage of my marriage. What if he didn't believe me? What if he lashed out? Or worse, told Sophia and Ethan I paced our Portland living room, the creaky floorboards under my feet echoing my racing thoughts. My phone sat silent on the coffee table, mocking me. Had I just made a huge mistake? But then 3 hours later it rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen. I grabbed it, my throat dry. "Hello?" I managed, barely a whisper. "Is this Nora?" The voice was deep, steady, but there was a tremor beneath it, like a dam holding back a flood. "This is Daniel Reed. I got your message. Is this some kind of sick joke?" I swallowed hard, gripping the phone. I wish it was. "Daniel. But I have proof texts, photos, receipts, even a recording that shows Ethan's lying. They're planning a weekend at our summer house in Cannon Beach." A long pause stretched between us, heavy as the ocean air. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "I want to see what you've got. Can we meet?" I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Tomorrow morning, Astoria, the Blue Anchor Cafe. You'll be there at 9. He didn't say goodbye, just hung up, leaving me staring at the phone, my resolve hardening. This was it, the first step toward the truth, Saturday morning. I drove the winding coastal highway to Astoria, the Pacific glittering under a pale sun. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. Id barely slept, replaying those texts, the email about the silken candles, the recording of Lisa's cheery voice saying Ethan had no conference. Every detail was a splinter in my heart, but they were also my weapons. I parked outside the Blue Anchor, a cozy diner with fogged-up windows and the smell of bacon drifting out. I chose a corner booth facing the lot. My phone loaded with evidence, my nerves on edge. What would Daniel be like, angry, broken? Would he even show up at 8:58? A tall man in a gray coat pushed through the door. I knew it was him instantly, the same tired eyes from his LinkedIn photo, now carrying a weight that made my chest ache. He scanned the room, spotted me, and strode over, his steps heavy, like he was dragging a storm behind him. "Nora?" he asked, sliding into the booth. I nodded, my voice steady despite the butterflies in my stomach. "Daniel, thanks for coming." He didn't smile, just leaned forward, hands clasped tight. "Show me what you have. No small talk, straight to the point." I respected that I placed my phone on the table. opened the folder of screenshots, and slid it toward him. "These are Ethan's texts with your wife," I said, watching his face. His jaw clenched as he scrolled, each swipe tightening his grip. There were messages about wine, the summer house, the silk scarves, and then he stopped, his breath catching. It was the photo Sophia had sent Ethan, her bare feet on the oak floor of my summer house, the floor Ethan and I had chosen together. Where we'd danced under fairy lights for our 5th anniversary, I leaned forward, my voice shaking with rage. "That's our house, Daniel. We built it, every board, every beam, and she's standing there like she owns it." My eyes burned, but I refused to cry, not here. "Not now." Daniel's face crumpled, his hand hovering over the screen. "Sophia told me she was going to a women's retreat this weekend," he said, barely above a whisper. "She even texted me last night. 'Miss you. Sleep well.'" He laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "I built my whole life around her. And this is what I get." He pushed the phone back, shutting his eyes. "There's more," I said, my voice firm. I showed him the email about the silken candles, the receipt for delivery to Cannon Beach. Then I played the recording of Lisa, her voice bright and clueless. "No conference in Seattle. Nora Ethan took personal days." Daniel's hands balled into fists, his knuckles white against the table. "They're lying to both of us," he said, his voice raw. "What do we do now?" I took a deep breath, my mind racing. "There's something else in the texts," I said, lowering my voice. "They mentioned bringing a special gift to the summer house this weekend, something big, but they didn't say what. I don't know if it's jewelry. A promise, or something worse. But I want to catch them before they can open it." Daniel's eyes snapped open, a spark of resolve igniting. "You're saying we confront them at the house?" I nodded, my pulse quickening. "We get there first, Daniel. We make them face us, face the truth." He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "That's bold, dangerous even. What if they turn this on us?" He wasn't wrong. The plan was risky. Ethan could find out I wasn't in Bend if he called my editor, who knew I'd canceled my trip. Sophia, a financial consultant, might play hardball, maybe even threaten legal action if we cornered her. My stomach twisted at the thought. "I know it's a gamble," I admitted, my voice fierce. "But I can't let Ethan waltz into our house, the place we built together, and act like I don't exist. I need to see his face when he realizes I know." Daniel studied me, then gave a slow nod. "Sophia's been lying to me for months. I need answers too, no matter how much it hurts." We started plotting, our voices low, the diner's chatter fading around us. I pulled a key from my purse, the spare to the summer house, kept in a safe at home. "Ethan thinks I'm in Bend for work," I said. "He won't suspect a thing I can get us in." Daniel's eyes widened. "You've got a key that's our way in." But then I had an idea, not just to show up, but to stage the confrontation. "Let's make it hurt," I said, my voice trembling with conviction. "We'll set up the house like a mirror of their lies, the silk scarves, the candles, the music Ethan and I used to play when we designed it. When they walk in, they'll see us and they'll see everything they've destroyed." Daniel hesitated, his brow furrowed. "That's intense." "Nora, what if Ethan gets violent or Sophia calls a lawyer? She's got connections." I swallowed hard, the fear creeping in. "I know it's not foolproof. If Ethan checks with my editor, he'll know I'm not in Bend, but we keep this quiet. No one else knows. We have the proof, the texts, the receipts, Lisa's recording." "They can't twist this." Daniel nodded, his jaw set. "Okay, let's do it. But we stick together, no backing out." We spent another hour refining the plan. It'd gather more evidence, print the screenshots, save the receipt, and keep Lisa's recording ready. Daniel would make sure Sophia didn't suspect him. He'd act normal. Send her a casual text to keep her off guard. We'd drive to Cannon Beach Sunday morning, hours before Ethan and Sophia arrived, and turn the summer house into a stage for their reckoning. But one question gnawed at me. What was this special gift they were bringing? Was it a ring, a vow, something to seal their secret world? The thought made my skin crawl, but it also fueled me. Whatever it was, I'd make sure they never got to open it. As we left the diner, the coastal wind stung my face. But I felt alive, terrified. But alive. Daniel and I weren't just strangers anymore, we were allies, bound by the same betrayal, ready to face the people who'd torn our lives apart. The summer house, where Ethan and I had built our dreams, was about to become a battlefield, and I was ready to fight for the truth. For my heart. For myself, Sunday morning. The coastal fog clung to Cannon Beach like a shroud. I drove my old Subaru along the winding highway. Daniel in the passenger seat, his hands clasped tight in his lap. The summer house was an hour away, but every mile felt like a step toward a cliff's edge. My heart thumped half from fear, half from a fire I hadn't felt in years. We were about to turn our house, the one Ethan and I had poured our souls into a stage for truth, a trap that would strip away every lie Ethan and Sophia had woven. Daniel stared out the window. The Pacific a gray blur beyond. "You nervous?" he asked, his voice low. "Terrified," I admitted, gripping the wheel. "But I'd rather face this than live another day in the dark." He nodded, a ghost of a smile flickering. "Same here. Let's make them see us. Really see us." We pulled up to the summer house at 10 a.m., the cedar-shingled cottage perched on its cliff, waves crashing below. The sight hit me like a punch every window. Every weathered board held a memory Ethan and I picking out the oak floors, laughing over paint swatches, dancing under the skylight to Nora Jones. This was our place and they'd defiled it. I unlocked the door with my spare key, the one I kept in a safe at home. My hand trembling as the lock clicked. The air inside smelled of salt and pine, but it felt wrong. Tainted Daniel stepped in behind me, his eyes scanning the open living room. "It's beautiful," he said softly, then added, "Hard to believe it's been their hideout." I clenched my fists. "Not anymore today. It's ours again." We got to work, turning the house into a mirror of their betrayal, a stage to break them. I pulled the silk scarves and artisanal candles from Ethan's boutique order out of a bag. We'd stopped in Salem to pick up duplicates. A little detective work to match the receipt. I draped the scarves over the dining table, their deep blue shimmering under the morning light, and set the candles in a deliberate circle, a mocking nod to their romantic plans. Daniel rigged the old stereo to play Nora Jones' "Come Away With Me," the album Ethan and I had looped while designing this house. The music filled the space, soft and haunting. Twisting my heart with every note, I found our 5th anniversary photo in a drawer, me and Ethan laughing, arms around each other, the house glowing behind us. I placed it front and center on the table, next to a thick envelope stuffed with our evidence-printed screenshots of their texts. The boutique receipt. Lisa's recorded voice saying, "Ethan had no Seattle conference. This feels like a funeral," Daniel said, lighting the candles, the flames flickering like ghosts. I nodded, my throat tight. It's a funeral for lies when they walk in. They'll see everything they've destroyed. I adjusted the chairs, two facing the door, where we'd sit, waiting like judges. The final touch was a small detail, but it cut deep. I set out 4 wine glasses, a cruel echo of the intimacy they'd planned. Daniel watched me, his jaw tight. "You're ruthless, Nora." I gave a bitter smile. I learned from the best. Ethan taught me how to play dirty. We sat for a moment, the music wrapping around us, the candles' jasmine scent mixing with the sea air. I traced the edge of the anniversary photo, my finger lingering on Ethan's smile. "This was where we promised forever," I whispered, tears pricking my eyes. We lay on that floor, planning kids, naming stars. How did he throw it all away? Daniel's voice was rough. Sophia did the same. After her miscarriage, I thought she pulled away from grief, turns out. She was running to him. He slammed his fist on the table, the glasses rattling. "Sorry," he muttered, rubbing his knuckles. I touched his arm. "Don't be—" "We're allowed to be angry. They don't get to steal that, too." The hours crawled by, each tick of the wall clock a hammer on my nerves. We went over the plan again. Wait silently. Let them walk in. Hit them with the evidence before they could spin their lies. But doubts crept in. What if Ethan had checked with my editor and knew I wasn't in Bend? What if Sophia, with her financial consultant smarts, turned this into a legal mess if this goes wrong? I said, my voice shaking. We're the ones who look like fools? Daniel's eyes met mine, steady and fierce. We have the truth. Nora, that's more than they've got. His words anchored me, and I nodded. You're right, no backing out now. At 5:55 p.m., the crunch of tires on gravel sent my pulse skyrocketing. I glanced at Daniel. He gave a sharp nod, his face set like stone. We took our seats, the envelope and photo between us, the candles casting long shadows. The stereo played on, Nora Jones' voice a soft taunt. Headlights swept across the windows, and my stomach lurched. They were here. Ethan's black SUV pulled up, and he stepped out, leather jacket slung over his shoulder, carrying a suitcase and a small, gift-wrapped box. Sophia followed, her hair catching the evening light, a bouquet of white roses in her arms. They were laughing, carefree, like lovers on a honeymoon in my house. The door swung open. Sophia stepped in first, her smile freezing as her eyes landed on us. Ethan bumped into her, then looked up, and our gazes locked. His face drained of color, the gift box slipping from his hand. It hit the floor, popping open, and a pearl necklace spilled out, the exact one Ethan had promised me for my birthday 2 years ago. A promise he'd never kept. My breath caught, a sob clawing at my throat. You brought that for her, I said, my voice a blade. Sophia's roses fell, petals scattering like broken promises. The candles flickered, the music swelled, and the room felt like it was closing in. Welcome to your weekend getaway. I stood, my voice steady despite the storm inside. We've got silk, candles, music, and the truth you can't escape. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came. Sophia backed up, her eyes darting to Daniel, pleading. Nora, this isn't what you think, Ethan finally choked out. I tilted my head, ice in my veins. Not what I think. Then explain the texts. Ethan, the candles, the scarves, the lies about Seattle. I grabbed the envelope, pulling out the screenshots. Or this Sophia's little photo shoot on our floor, the one we chose together. I threw the photos on the table, their edges curling in the candlelight. Daniel stood, his voice like steel. And you. Sophia, a women's retreat. You texted me. Miss you while planning this in a house I didn't even know you'd been to. He jabbed a finger at the receipts. You used our money for this. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Sophia's hands flew to her face, tears streaming. Daniel, please, she sobbed. Don't what? He snapped. Don't face the woman who's been lying to me for months. I wasn't done. There's more, I said, my voice rising. I pulled my phone, opened the recording of Lisa, and hit play. Her voice filled the room. No conference in Seattle. Nora Ethan took personal days. Ethan's eyes widened, his hands shaking, but I saved the worst for last, a text I'd found just that morning, buried in his phone. You thought I wouldn't check our bank account. Ethan, I said, holding up a new screenshot. $10,000. Transferred last week. For that necklace from our joint account. You didn't just cheat, you stole from me. Sophia gasped, turning to Ethan. You said it was your money. Daniel's voice was a growl. And you, Sophia. 5,000 from our account for your little getaway. We're both thieves now. Aren't we? Ethan lunged for the screenshots, his face red. You spied on me. Nora. You're pathetic. I stepped back, unflinching. Pathetic. I was protecting myself because you've been lying for months. Sophia collapsed into a chair, sobbing. It wasn't supposed to be like this. She wailed. I ignored her, my eyes locked on Ethan. You brought her to the house where we planned our kids, our life. You gave her the necklace you promised me. My voice broke, but I didn't stop. I grabbed the anniversary photo, my hands trembling. This was us. Ethan, this was ours. With a cry, I smashed the frame on the table, glass shattered, the sound echoing like a gunshot. You don't get to take that from me anymore. The room fell silent, save for Sophia's sobs and the faint hum of Nora Jones. Ethan stared at the broken frame, his shoulders slumping. Daniel turned away, his fists clenched, staring out at the darkening ocean. I felt the weight of every lie lift, replaced by a clarity I hadn't known I needed. You can explain. Beg or leave, I said, my voice steady now. But know this. Ethan, you've lost me forever. The candles burned low, the pearls glinted on the floor, and the summer house stood witness to the end of everything we'd built. The shattered glass from the anniversary photo glittered on the dining table, a jagged mirror of the wreckage in the room. The candles flickered, casting shadows that danced across Ethan's ashen face. Sophia's sobs echoed, her hands still covering her eyes, while Daniel stood frozen by the window, his fists clenched, staring into the darkening Cannon Beach night. Nora Jones' voice faded into a haunting hum, and the summer house, our summer house, where Ethan and I had built a life, felt like a tomb. I stood tall, my heart pounding. The weight of every lie I had uncovered lifting with that final, defiant act of smashing the frame. You're done. Ethan, I said, my voice cutting through the silence. You don't get to rewrite this story. But then Sophia stood, her hands dropping, her tear-streaked face pale, but resolute. Wait, she gasped, her voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. There's something you don't know. The room stilled, the air thick with dread. My eyes narrowed, a chill snaking down my spine. What now? Sophia, I snapped, bracing for another lie. She swallowed hard, her gaze darting to Daniel, then Ethan, then back to me. I'm pregnant, she whispered, the words detonating like a bomb. The silence that followed was deafening, a void that swallowed every breath, every thought. Ethan staggered back, his eyes wide with shock. Pregnant. He choked, his voice raw. You're serious. Sophia nodded, her hands instinctively cradling her stomach. I found out last week. I was going to tell you this weekend, Ethan. But, she turned to Daniel, her voice breaking, it's yours. Daniel, I swear it's your baby. My heart stopped, the room spinning. Daniel's head snapped toward her, his face a mask of disbelief. Mine, he rasped, stepping forward, his voice cracking. You're carrying my child and you've been here. With him, Ethan's shock turned to fury, his hands raking through his hair. You lied to me too, he shouted, pointing at Sophia. You let me think what? That this was us, that we had something real. Sophia shook her head, tears spilling. I never meant to hurt you. Ethan. It was a mistake, all of it. But Ethan wasn't listening. He spun toward me, his eyes wild. Nora. I didn't know, I swear. I didn't sign up for this. I laughed. a sharp, bitter sound that startled even me. "Oh, you didn't know she was playing you too. Welcome to the club." "Ethan, how's it feel to be betrayed?" Daniel's voice cut through. "Low and dangerous. A child." "Sophia, in the middle of this." He gestured at the scattered screenshots, the pearl necklace glinting on the floor, the broken frame. "You've been lying to me for months, sneaking around, stealing from our account, and now you drop this." His hands trembled, torn between rage and something softer hope. "Maybe. For the baby." Sophia reached for him, but he stepped back, shaking his head. Not now." I stood there, my chest heaving, the weight of Sophia's words sinking in. A baby, Daniel's baby, in the chaos of their lies, it changed everything. Yet nothing at all. I looked at Ethan, his face a mix of guilt and desperation, and felt a strange calm settle over me. "You know what, Ethan?" I said, my voice steady, cold. "You don't get to play the victim. You stole my trust, our money, our home, and now you're shocked she's got her own secrets. You built this mess." I turned to Sophia, my eyes hard. "And you don't get to hide behind a baby? You walked into my house, stood on my floor, and thought you could erase me." The candles burned low, their light fading like the last threads of Ethan's lies. I took a step back, my gaze sweeping the room, the wreckage of our lives laid bare. "This ends here," I said, my voice ringing with finality. "You can fight, cry, or run, but I'm done. I'm taking back my life." The summer house, once our haven, stood witness to the truth, and I was ready to walk away, stronger than ever. The summer house stood silent, the air heavy with the aftermath of Sophia's bombshell. The pearl necklace lay scattered on the floor, its beads catching the dying flicker of the candles, the shattered anniversary photo, the strewn screenshots. The wilted rose petals, they were a map of our broken lives, laid bare in the place Ethan and I had once called our haven. Sophia sat crumpled in a chair, her sobs quieter now, her hands still cradling her stomach. Ethan leaned against the wall, his face buried in his hands, as if he could hide from the truth. Daniel stood by the window, his back to us, the ocean's roar filling the space where words failed. And me, I stood at the center of it all, my heart raw but steady, a fire burning through the pain. I'd faced the lies, smashed the illusions, and now it was time to end this for good. I stepped forward, my voice calm but unyielding. "Ethan, look at me." He raised his head, his eyes red, pleading. I didn't flinch. "You stole everything, our trust, our memories, $10,000 from our account for that necklace." I pointed to the pearls, my voice rising. "You brought her into our house, where we planned our kids, our future. And now you're shocked. She's got her own secrets." I pulled a folder from my bag, slamming it on the table amid the glass shards. "This is a divorce agreement. Ethan, I've already moved our joint assets to a separate account. My lawyers got it all. Sign it. Or don't, but I'm done." His mouth opened, but no words came. For the first time, Ethan Bennett, the man who could charm a room, had nothing to say. Sophia's head snapped up, her tear-streaked face pale. "Nora, please, I didn't mean for this." I cut her off, my gaze hard. "Save it, Sophia. You walked into my life, stood on my floor, and thought you could erase me. That baby doesn't change what you did." I turned to Daniel, softening my voice. "Daniel, this isn't about you or the child, but they need to face what they've done." He nodded slowly, his jaw tight, his eyes still fixed on the ocean. "I know," he said, his voice low. "I need time to process this. The baby, everything." He faced Sophia, his expression torn between pain and duty. "If that child's mine, he'll be there, But I can't look at you right now. Ethan finally found his voice, stepping toward me. Nora, we can fix this. We've got too much. Too many years. His words were desperate, but they felt hollow, like echoes from a man I no longer knew. I shook my head, a bitter smile curling my lips. Fix this. You broke us. Ethan. You chose her. Chose lies. Chose to steal from me. The only thing I'm fixing is my life without you. I grabbed my bag, the weight of the divorce papers grounding me. You'll hear from my lawyer. Enjoy your weekend. My words dripped with venom. And I meant every one. Daniel glanced at me, his eyes weary but resolute. Nora. I'm ready to go. I nodded, and we walked toward the door, leaving Ethan and Sophia in the ruins of their deception. The candles had burned out. The music stopped.